GM, and welcome back to another video with the Bitblond, the craziest blonde in the world, about crypto, perhaps in the universe. However, before we get into any content, I would love to do my quick disclaimer. None of this content is a financial advice. You must do your own market research, as always. And yes, it's been an interesting ride. Surprisingly, I'm still on this sweet position, and it's very boring to be fair. And I've been sick for a couple of days, and I'm just back to life now. Anyways, I think, however, if we don't play out today, I might consider exiting this specific position on Sui and open a new long as soon as I can. But however, it's not stopped yet, so I shouldn't touch it. Anyways, I will analyze during this day. Let's just go straight away into the sweet bites prediction. According to our previous analysis, I entered Sui somewhere around 240 and is still going sideways, which is pretty boring to be honest. But in the other hand, it's like consolidating, right? But let's see if we tend to do a fake breakout, I might close this position and open a new one, perhaps on a near future. Moving into Bitcoin price, guys, BTC is one more time apparently retesting the top, and that could lead us to go a little bit lower. Okay, so if we retest the resistance and go up, it would be somewhere around 114k from my point of view. Some people would say 115k. However, I hope we actually retest and go high, but it doesn't really matter because if we go back to the support somewhere around 102, I will be entering again. I'm not trading BTC today because I don't really see much opportunity. Okay, but let's have a look together on today's news according to Cointelegraph, and let's analyze what is currently playing out on the market. A false move to 105k. Five things to know in Bitcoin this week. Bitcoin set another record high weekly close as traders determine where the BTC price tops and bottom will be. The Bitcoin BTC has inched away from all-time high after it sealed another record weekly close. Bitcoin traders are eyeing both a return to peace discovery and a fast move to take a liquidity at 105k. The weekly closed sealed July as a month for the record books with final resistance. Now to the next bulls to do list. US trade tariffs are the macro taking point of the week, while dollar weakness continues to fuel risk asset relief. Bitcoin funding rates are declining while prices rise, setting up a potential short squeeze. Um, Investor greed is rising with the fear and greedy index in extreme territory despite the macro risk. The Bitcoin liquidity target includes 105k dip after a late week bout of weakness thanks to long dormant BTC wallets reactivating after 14 years. Bitcoin is back on form of the week's begins. Data from Cointelegraph Market Pro and TradingView show price action focusing on the 109k mark as Wall Street return. And here we have the BTC USD 1 hourly chart sourced by Cointelegraph's slash trading view. Having flipped the key 180k level support, BTC USD is increasingly giving traders cause to believe that the new all-time high are around the corner. And we've got Crypto Tony latest tweet mentioning about BTC USD update holding the highs just waiting for the new all-time high push. So we have both scenarios in here, and we also have Pentoshi who tweeted fell in my flippers that we see BTC at the all-time high this week. The market, especially Ethereum and BTC, both have a lot of tailwind so far, barring anything unexpected. And BTC sets its high or low of the month with its first 12 days over 80% of the time. Trader Dan Crypto Trades noted on his latest analysis on Next and mentioned it then usually proceeds to trend in the other direction for a sizable 20% move from that high or low. And we've got the screenshot, and if you want, you can definitely, freeze that momentum and have a deep look into each month and what it's showing you. The trading resource material indicator noted that a return to price discovery was blocked by a band of ask liquidity at 110K. And we have the BTC USDT order book liquidity data sourced by material indicator slash X. Monitoring resource CoinGlass confirmed that 110K as the key level to break through the upside, while bid support was lining up at 107.800. The BTC liquidation heat map to 24-hour screenshot is also in here, sourced by CoinGlass. When price consolidates, liquidation targets are very powerful, then tend to act as price magnets. Fellow trader Crypto Nuevo continued on an X trend on Sunday. Crypto Nuevo untrend another liquidation target near 105K, making a trip that were likelihood thanks to the level coinciding with the 50-day exponential moving average EMA. The main individual liquidation level is at 105.2K, so it wouldn't surprise me to see a false move to the zone first confluence with the 1-day 50 EMA, he explained, describing such as a low as a good entry point. And here we have the screenshot sourced by Crypto Nuevo slash X. Weekly close kept the record coming after some last minute gains on the back of US macroeconomic headlines. Bitcoin achieved another record weekly close on Sunday at around 109.240 on Bitstamp. The close saw BTC USD build on a previous rebound, which erased an entire week's downside. The pair is up by 1.8% the first week of July, adding to 2.8 gains from the month prior. Reacting to some crypto participants were highly optimistic, with commentator Matteo Highland arguing that the Bulls were now in control. And here we have the screenshot of his ex post mentioning the BTC completes the highest weekly candle close ever. Bulls are in control. In separate X analysis, Highland conclude that he has to favor a continuation to the all-time high here in July. And we got the screenshot one more time proving that we are about to break up one more time. Prior to the event, trader and analyst Rect Capital said that a new record close would be truly uh, pivotal. Bitcoin has done, he subsequently confirmed. Bitcoin has just about weekly close above the final major weekly resistance, registering its highest ever weekly close. The goal for Bitcoin now is to turn this final resistance into support to springboard price to the new all-time highs. Okay, and here we have the screenshot of BTC USD 1 week chart sourced by Red Capital, and tariff took return with risk asset riding high. The Fed interest rate watch will gain further insight into recent decisions to hold rates at the current level as the minutes of the June meeting are released this week. In what is a broadly quiet week for US macroeconomic data, attention remains focused on Fed policy, which has diverged significantly from government demands. US President Donald Trump has remained vocal about cutting rates to as little as 1% from the current 4.25%, leaving personal criticism at the Fed Chair Jerome Powell. The renewed buzz around US international trade tariffs over the weekend underscored the Trump Fed divergence at the June rate meeting and elsewhere. Powell repeatedly linked tariffs to inflationary pressures. Now, with the deadline for the reciprocal tariffs pushed to August 1st from July 9, markets have only a brief respite from the issue. Market has been pricing this in for weeks. Trading resource the Kobetsi letter argued in a recent X analysis. Nothing then a large number of countries had not reached out to the US to negotiate trades, and we're still having this entire US problem with tariffs plus our current war between US and Iran. However, I don't even know much about. I just know that we having a war still, plus the tariff war as well. So it's kind of like both wars playing out, but the tariff one, of course, influence the market, and they both do. But I think the tariff one is a little bit more tricky to be playing around governments, to be honest. In the largest edition of its regular newsletter, the market mosaic trading firm Mosaic Asset linked strong risk asset perform in the face of inflation uncertainty to dollar weakness, another catalyst behind the risk on the move in the stock market. In the US dollar index, the DXY, it told readers about the risk asset tailwind. The dollar has fallen by over 10% this year, which makes 2025 the worst for the DXY since 1973. So it's the worst year for the US dollar so far. The week's other key events include initial jobless claim and speaking appearances from the senior Fed officials, including a speech on its own balance sheet from Christopher Waller at the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, the World Affairs Council of Dallas, Fort Worth, I believe, Texas, on Thursday. Founding rate buck BTC price trend, Bitcoin records weekly close was being met with some familiar skepticism by some traders, potentially setting up another uptrend as a result. The fresh commentary from the on-chain analysis platform CryptoQuant noted that funding rates are declining as BTC price action improves. As BTC enter a bullish trend, the declining funds rates indicate that Binance users are increasingly open short positions. In other words, many traders are not buying in the rally and instead are betting against it. Contributor Boris Vest wrote in a quick table blog post on Sunday and mentioned this mismatch between price direction and market sentiment often leads to forced short liquidations or margin top ups, adding fuel to the upward move. And we got here the screenshot from CryptoQuant. Mass liquidations of short BTC positions, as Cointelegraph reported, have characterized the market in recent months as BTC USD hunts liquidity on either side of the order book. Short positions on Binance are increasing, signaling that many traders perceive the current rally as an opportunity to sell. Boris Vest said, Last week, Cointelegraph noted that the history has produced significant price upside as a result of negative fund rates. Investor greed creeps back to extremes. Bitcoin all-time high mirrored exuberant US stocks, but the macro climate could hardly be more uncertain, and the growing gap between market mood and economic reality is highlighting in a sentiment index for both TradeFi and crypto. According to the latest data from CNN, Fear and Greedy Index, TradeFi investors are currently in a state of extreme greed despite the tariff wars, inflation risk, and geopolitical tensions. The index measured 78/100 at the time of reading this Monday. Okay, Fear and Greedy Index, sourced by CNN. Investor sentiment and position reached extremely bearish level during the April lows, and the stock market that was a key catalyst in driving a bottom and reversing high stock market. Mosaic asset rode on to phenomenon. Sentiment has been slow to shift back in the other direction, despite the S&P 500 recover to the fresh record highs. That's now is starting to change based on several measures of investors' fear and greed. And here we've got the Fear and Greed Index, sourced by Alternative by Me. The index crypto equivalent shows a similar trend, with the crypto fear and greedy index at 73/100 is the highest since May, and up 6 points in the 24 hours. So today we have a lot of data showing that we might break once more to the upside. But as I mentioned, we're still struggling to break one more time the resistance. However, I think both could happen. And I always tell you that just find a great momentum to enter and exit, and you'll be fine. Me personally, I am not trading Bitcoin now because I think it's too late to trade, never too late to buy. Okay. I will be looking into lower levels to enter my next Bitcoin trade. I am trading Sui and looking to start longing Ethereum if we break out on BTC. And the reason is that sometimes if you have less capital, it would just make sense to open a trade on Ethereum or another altcoin. Okay. But remember, always wait to confirmations and always wait to see what could happen next. Okay, guys, let's keep watching the Bitcoin price today. Let's see if we actually going to break further. Either way, you can always catch a movement inside support and resistance. If we get rejected now, it's going to be a point where we can long from our previous support. I am sure. Okay, so the best sometimes is just to wait and see what's going to happen. Overall, even knowing that we have the tariff war and the actual war with Iran and the entire uncertainty, Bitcoin is doing so well compared to the US dollar that has been really, really low and historically the lowest of the all-time high, which is quite shocking. And Bitcoin is performing really, really good compared to the US economy. And yeah, we have to wait on the US market reaction today to see what is going to happen and play out. But so far, Bitcoin is doing extremely well compared to our current economic status. But traders should always be looking for the best opportunities. Long term talking, it's always the best to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and accumulate. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to join the Telegram. Okay, I'll see you soon. Thank you.